好啦，各位同事，咁我哋夠人要開會啦。
Right, members, we've got a quorum already. This is a 2-hour meeting, and CY Leung will come to the C's question time at 5 p.m. So we must not overrun. We have 2 hours, but we have 3 agenda items. Last time it was said that we should add 1 agenda item. That's why we have a total of 3 agenda items today. And then there are a few issues that members would like to raise under items for discussion at future meetings. So I will not extend the duration of this meeting. So members, please be concise when you speak. Item 1, information papers issued since the last meeting. There are 2. One is a submission from a member of the public on the articulation of radio program host of RTHK. And then we have item 2 on the agenda, date of next meeting and items for discussion. So our next regular meeting will be held on the 14th of January, 2:30. The administration has proposed 2 items for discussion. Review of fees under the Entertainment Special Effects Fees Regulation. That's in fact item 1 on the list of outstanding items for discussion. And then the second item the administration has proposed is findings of the second round of public consultation on the review of the control of obscene and indecent articles ordinance. That's in fact item 2 on the list of outstanding items for discussion. So these are the 2 items proposed by the administration, and we will include them in the agenda for the next meeting. But then our members have raised issues of concern. On the 21st of November, Mr. Peter Charles MOK wrote to me requesting that there should be discussion on the Internet learning program, and perhaps Mr. Charles Peter MOK can elaborate. Now, in fact, Chairman, I've already provided a paper for members' information. I will not repeat the details. Now, in fact, this is the Internet learning support scheme. In fact, it can really serve children in need, but we really hope that this scheme can serve its purpose. And we're talking about a project costing hundreds of millions of dollars. I understand that the GICO is now auditing the accounts of this project, and so I want to have a discussion, and I want to have some explanation from the administration. All right. Yes, I think they should brief us on the progress. So let's discuss this issue on the 14th of January. So we will discuss the progress of the scheme, and also comments expressed by members of the public. Right? And on the 22nd of November, Ms. Claudia Mo wrote to me requesting that there should be a discussion by this panel on the alleged broadcast of political advertisements on TV. So Ms. Mo may wish to elaborate, and I want to refer members to a paper that has been tabled, and that's in response to the concern raised by Ms. Mo, existing regulatory regime on advertisements of a political nature in the electronic media. And so members, I believe, have already got the letter. Ms. Mo, please. Yes, thank you, Chairman. And I am quite alarmed, Chairman. It is said in para 2A that this does not apply in the case of materials supplied by the government, and then the next paragraph doesn't apply or doesn't include government's announcement in the public interest, and then C doesn't include API, and then C doesn't include APIs or those scheduled for broadcasting by the ISD. So it seems that the government can do whatever it wants. Now, some Democrats put up advertisements, so-called political advertisements in TV, and the advertisements were regarded as political advertisement. In fact, the content of that advertisement was it was time for universal suffrage. And now the government can do it whatever it likes. Now they can say it's time to develop anti-Northeast, it's time to launch national education or the national education curriculum. Now, I was given to understand that the government was not exempted in any way, and this is the first time they are telling us in black and white the government can do whatever it wants to do. This is a very dangerous precedent, Chairman. Does it mean that from now on the government can broadcast any API on TV or on radio? In fact, we're concerned about some APIs on radio and TV trying to promote and advocate government policies. And then there are some who are of the view that as the government can promote its stance using APIs, then why is it that other people can't put up political advertisements on radio and on TV? Now, so now I want to say that we can invite them to come and have a discussion with us, but I want to remind you that you know what to expect. They will not depart from the lines described in this letter. So you can only expect human tape recorders to come to repeat the same stance to us. So, well, of course, we can't accommodate this item on the 14th of January. But then, I think this is not a one-off. This may not be a one-off incident. So perhaps we can discuss this issue at a later date. Members, any comments with regard to government APIs as proposed by Ms. Mo? Yes, Chairman, I think we can discuss this matter. Now, in fact, there are a few possibilities. Now, we can have a longer meeting next time, but of course, that may eat into the time for the education panel meeting. Or can we have a special meeting to discuss this issue and another urgent item? And then, of course, the third option is to have this discussed in the regular meeting in February. All right, thank you very much, members. Other members? Mr. Sin Chung Kai, I support what Mr. Mok has said. Yes? Mr. Wong Ting Kwong? No? No comments? So we'll have 4 items next time. And the end time of the meeting will be 5 p.m. All right? All right, next one. Mr. Chen Chi-chun on the 4th of December wrote to me requesting that a special meeting of the panel be held to ask the administration on the progress with regard to the free applications for free domestic TV licenses. Yes, Mr. Chan. Thank you, Chairman. Now, in fact, this matter has dragged on for a long time. A decision has not been made yet. Last month, LegCo passed a motion moved by Ms. Claudia Mo as amended by Mr. Low Wai Kwok. But of course, that's a motion which is not binding. Now, in fact, ATV has voiced its concerns. It has talked about its difficulties. TVB has also stated its position. I think concerning the two existing TV stations, the renewal of their licenses, of course we have to be concerned. And yesterday, some confidential information was leaked, and it was said that a decision was not made yet. The matter was delayed because if new licenses were issued, ATV would have to close down. Of course, I'm sure the administration will not clarify this saying for us. So I think we need a special meeting, and we should meet the two existing broadcasters. Mr. Sin Chung Kai. Yes, Chairman, I want to say that I support Mr. Chan's proposal. In fact, I've also prepared a letter which has been tabled for members' reference. I think we should invite the CA to release the content of the consultancy report as soon as possible. Mr. Chen Chi-chun said that we should invite the relevant organizations to come, 2+3. I support that idea. And I hope that this panel can formally request the administration to make public the content of the consultancy report. I believe you've all got Mr. Sin's letter. Now, the administration hasn't said that it will give us that report, but if we were to have a special meeting, maybe we can ask the administration whether it's willing to give us the report. Mr. Mok. Yes, Chairman, during the motion debate, I also urged the administration to make public the consultancy report. And so I support Mr. Chen Chi-chun's suggestion to hold a special meeting, and I also support Mr. Sin's suggestion to ask the administration to make public the consultancy report. Ms. Mo, I support Mr. Chen Chi-chun's suggestion, Chairman. Now, LegCo has passed a motion urging the administration to issue the new licenses before the end of March. I understand that motion is not binding, but I want to say that the legislature doesn't merely seek to support what the executive has to do. In fact, there are check and balances between the legislature and the executive, and I think the administration should clarify what has been leaked to the media with regard to the consultancy report by EXCO. Now, in fact, that's not an EXCO consultancy report. That's the consultancy report commissioned by the CA, because EXCO can claim that all its papers are confidential and will not release its reports. Sorry, I mean that report commissioned by the CEDB. All right. So I want to say that in fact the report has been submitted to EXCO, and EXCO still hasn't made a decision. You know, during the debate, some members did not know what had happened. They said that there should be consultation, but in fact, a lot of consultation has been done. You know, now the matter is now in the EXCO's court. So it's the CE who is not making a decision.
On this issue, there have been a lot of discussions in the community. For instance, an applicant for free TV station has already put in huge money and even produced some TV dramas. and ATV and TVB have very strong views about the further issuance of free-to-air TV licenses, and there is also wide public concern, so it won't do for the government to drag its feet further. So although we have already had 2 special meetings, we are under pressure, but it doesn't matter. It's worthwhile to organize some more special meetings. It is our duty to monitor the government. So I've decided to convene a special meeting. I will invite the 2 free TV licensees, namely TVB and ATV, to tell us their difficulties. And we'll also invite the other 3 operators, including iCable, PCCW, and City Telecom to come to the meeting. And Mr. Chen Chujin said that he hoped that the government would come, but of course it should be here, otherwise what's the point? So we will ask the administration to be present to respond to questions asked by the organizations and ourselves. All right, the next meeting is scheduled for the 14th of January. I hope we can do it sometime in the middle of January, because come February there will be another regular meeting. We'll try to fix a date with the administration. It's easier for the 3 media organizations. The boss or the representatives can come, but we will fix a date with the administration first, and I'll let you know as soon as the date is fixed. So we agree that a special meeting will be convened to discuss the issuing of more free TV licenses. Mr. Sin Chung Kai, I agree to you entirely, but to be more specific, we need someone from the administration, that is from the Bureau, and the Broadcasting Authority is a statutory body with its independent roles and functions. While the administration is invited, we should also invite the Broadcasting Authority to attend the meeting. The latter should also be attended. All right, after the Communications Authority is passed, we no longer have a Broadcasting Authority. Yes. All right. The office of the Communications Authority shall be invited. But before the CA was set up, there was the Broadcasting Authority chaired by Mr. Ho Pui Him, and then the person in charge of the CA is also Mr. Ho Pui Him, so we invite him to attend our meeting. So what Mr. Sin Chung Kai said was correct. It was our intention to invite the BA to be present too. And the administration... So the authority will tell us what they have done so far, and the administration will tell us its story. Mr. Charles MOK, as you said, the decision should rest with the CE or the Executive Committee or Executive Council. Is it possible for us to invite the CE or someone from the EXCO? Chairman, you know that the matter doesn't rest with the CA and the Bureau anymore. Well, for the Secretary of the Commerce and Economic Development, he has repeated his answers many times. He will be repeating the same thing. The only person with something new is Mr. Ho Pui Him, because he, after all, have followed through the matter. And as for EXCO members, they are not going to attend a panel meeting, and the CA will certainly snub us. We invited him. And he evaded so many times, even if we wanted to invite him to our council meeting. So perhaps we can ask for a copy of the consultancy report, and then I think OFCA can also give us some information. That's all we can do for the time being. If there are no further views, we decided to proceed as such. And then policy briefing of the 2013 policy address. All panels have such arrangements, and so does our council. So in late January, we will convene a special meeting for government officials to brief us on policy initiatives in the 2013 policy address, the first one ever from the new term of government. It's also an opportunity for us to ask the new government how it is going to deal with the issue of issuing more free licenses. Okay, it's likely that we have 3 meetings in January. First, a regular meeting on the 14th, and then a special meeting about the issuing of free TV licenses, and third, the briefing for policy initiatives. Okay, so please pencil in the diary. Ms. Claudia Mo, is it possible to fix the dates now? Or what meeting? That special meeting? Of course not. But it will certainly be in January, okay? The reason why we can't do it is we have to match the administration's timetable, and of course members are also busy, but we will try to accommodate the administration as far as possible, because we want them to be present and also want Mr. Ho Pui Him to be present. The main thing is we have to fix a date which is convenient to everyone. Now let's move on to agenda proper. We have got 3 items on our list. We have already spent 22 minutes, and I must control time very strictly because we don't have a lot of time left. So please be succinct in the discussion items. Each member can only speak for 3 minutes. The first thing is provision of fees payable in respect of applications for the recognition of certification authorities, the recognition of digital certificates, and the renewal of such recognition under the Electronic Transactions Ordinance. Let's invite government representatives to come in. We have the Permanent Secretary and also Mr. Daniel Lai, whom we haven't seen for a long time. Actually, it's the first time I see Mr. Daniel Lai, Government Chief Information Officer. And then Ms. Joy Lam, Deputy Government Chief Information Officer, and Mr. Dominic Kwong, Assistant Government Chief Information Officer. Yes. Thank you. The Electronic Transactions Ordinance was enacted in 2000, and it provides a framework to give electronic records and electronic structures the same legal status as that of their paper-based counterparts. And the ordinance also established a voluntary certification authority recognition scheme for organizations to operate as recognized CAs to issue digital certificates to authenticate digital signatures used in electronic transactions. Under the scheme, both the CA and the digital certificates it issues requires recognition by the Government Chief Information Officer, or GCIO, which only be granted upon achievement of the stipulated security and trustworthiness standards in the systems, operations, and services. Now, there are 2 CAs recognized under the ETO. One is the Hong Kong Post. It is a recognized CA mandated under the ETO. And the DigiSign Certification Services Limited is a commercial CA recognized by the GCIO under the ETO. Under the ordinance, the current fee levels have been enforced since commencement of the regulation in 2000, and recent costing exercises reveal that the prevailing fees levels cannot recover the full costs incurred. So we propose an average annual cost increase of around 27%. Now, after the fees are implemented, the estimated increase in fees to DigiSign is around $27,000. And for the Hong Kong Post, because it is mandated under the ETO, it is not required to pay. Thank you. CIO. Any supplement? All right. Do we agree or object or any comments, please? Mr. Charles MOK, Chairman. I don't have much problem with the adjustment, but I have some relevant questions for the administration. The ETO was amended in 2004, but since its enactment in 2004, there have been no major consultation afterwards. There might be technological advancements, and some other jurisdictions have the legislation enacted later than ours, and their legislation is much better than ours. According to the industry, our system doesn't have the time stamp. Now, even Macau has got this time stamp system because they enacted their legislation later than we did. So will there be other reviews considered by the government? I will not mention the other amendments mentioned by the industry. I'd just like to ask the administration whether a review will be done as soon as possible. GCIA. Currently, we don't have any intention to review the system. However, if the industry so requests, we can consider the possibility. For instance, we used to have 1024 for encryption of electronic certificates, but now it's 24/8. So we have been improving on the technological aspects. Whether we should add a time stamp, well, we can consider that. I encourage the administration to discuss with the industry. They've given me some other examples, which I will not detail here. It is useful for many reasons for a timestamp to be included in the digital certificates. Even Macau and other jurisdictions are requiring that, and for some CAs or some organizations said that a certificate will be issued on an individual basis, but not for the whole organization. So these amendments are not very complicated. I hope the administration will consult the industry and, when need be, amend the legislation. Thank you. I think the GCL has already said that it is possible to consider your suggestion. So this is rather simple. This is a rather straightforward paper. Mr. Yu. Chairman, I also agree that the fees can be adjusted, but I'd like to know why is it that there is only one commercial CA after so many years? Has the administration considered promoting the system? Members may recall that this is among the 6 potential industries where Hong Kong have a competitive edge for further development. GCIO. Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we have all been promoting the services. Whether there is a need for the service depends on the application. There are many government e-services that require certification services. In the private sector, such as tendering systems, and in business and commerce, there are companies that require such certification. So this is a totally market-driven industry. But of course, we will tie in with the development of electronic trading. We always believe that certification is necessary for online trading, and for banks, for instance, they have their own technology for certification. So we'll continue to promote the service. Mr. Yu, Why is it that there is only one service provided? Have you tried to find out the reason? In fact, there are two CAs, one being the Hong Kong Post and the other Digit Sign. And this is a purely voluntary scheme. There are companies that issue certificates, but they are not recognized. They have not joined our voluntary certification authority recognition scheme. Well, the Hong Kong Post is not there to compete with the private sector. Its nature is different. Digit Sign is mainly engaged in e-trading, and there are only two CAs, including the Hong Kong Post.
Who else would like to ask questions? I was trying to explain the background to Mr. Yu. Strictly speaking, you can say that it is a monopoly, Mr. MOK. But I understand that, in fact, the Post Office has contracted out the service to a private company, so you can say that, in fact, there are two private companies providing the service. But then there are some organizations which need the certificates, but they may not need certificates by recognized certification authorities. So it's not about whether the service is successful, whether there is enough competition. But of course, if there can be more services, better services provided in the market, more people will make use of such service. Now, in fact, this is really not a big deal, because we are talking about a very small fee revision. But of course, we understand that there is a lot of room for further development, especially in the area of trade and commerce. We understand that with the fee revision, the increase in revenue is only about $27,000. So we will support the proposal for fee revision, and we will also support the relevant legislation. Next, we have license fees reduction for unified carrier licenses, public radio communication service licenses, and service-based operator licenses issued under the TO. I understand that we have another group of officials who will be coming, and they include Mr. Joe Wong, Deputy Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Mr. Ivanhoe Chang, PAS for Commerce and Economic Development, Mr. Y.K. Ha, Deputy Director General Telecommunications, Mr. Charles Leung, Assistant Director, Support Office of the Communications Authority, and Mr. Patrick Ho, Head Regulatory Accounting and Finance Office of the Communications Authority. Yes, the Permanent Secretary, please. Thank you. So the CA say license fees are collected by the Office of the Communications Authority Trading Fund to recover the costs incurred by OFCA in administering the licenses. And in line with the cost recovery principle, the OFCA has been monitoring regularly the financial performance of the OFCA Trading Fund, and is minded to adjust the relevant license fees should there be room to do so. Now, for three types of licenses, there is room for downward adjustment. First of all, unified carrier licenses, and then public radio communications service licenses and services-based operator licenses. In fact, we did a public consultation in the middle of the year, and the Secretary as well as the CA issued a joint statement in November promulgating the decision to proceed with a proposal to reduce the license fees. We're now proceeding with the drafting of legislation, and if everything progresses smoothly, the fees can be adjusted downwards in March next year. And now I would like to invite the representatives from the OFCA to give members a presentation. All right, Mr. Patrick Ho, Head Regulatory Accounting and Finance Office of the Communications Authority. Chairman, now the CA was set up on the 1st of April this year, and we regulate both the broadcasting and the telecommunications industries. And the Office of the CA supports the CA in the exercise of its statutory duties. The trading fund receives or collects the license fees in order to recover the costs incurred by OFCA in administering the licenses. And in line with the cost recovery principle, OFCA has been monitoring regularly the financial performance of the OFCA trading fund and responding to adjust the relevant license fees should there be room to do so. And first of all, we're talking about a downward adjustment of 12.5% for unified carrier licenses from $800 to $700 for each 100 customer connections per annum. And the PRS licenses, paging, and SBO licenses class 3 will also be adjusted downwards from $800 to $700 for each 100 mobile stations used by customers. Under Section 7.2 of the Telecommunications Ordinance, the Secretary consults the public before a decision is made, and the license fees for PRS and SBO licenses are determined by the CA. On the 29th of June, the Secretary for CED and the CA jointly issued a consultation paper, and 6 submissions were received at the close of the consultation. And on the 27th of November 2012, the Secretary and the CA issued a joint statement promulgating the decision. And in the public consultation, all the submissions received were supportive of the proposal to bring the fees downwards. And then further views and suggestions include further downward adjustment of license fees, a refund of the license fees paid, and or creation of a fee or tax holiday, an immediate reduction in license fees or backdating the reduction to 1st April 2012, and an annual review of license fees. Concerning further downward adjustment of license fees and a refund of license fees paid and or creation of a fee tax holiday. Now, the Secretary and the CA understand that the passage of the Competition Bill and the Trade Descriptions Unfair Trade Practices Amendment Bill 2012 call for increase in the manpower resources in OFCA. And also the operating cost of OFCA is on the increase, and so there is no room for a further downward adjustment or refund of license fees. Concerning immediate reduction in license fees or backdating the reduction to 1st April 2012, taking into account the legislative process involved in effecting the fee reduction for UCLs, the proposal for an immediate reduction in license fees is not practical, and there are no grounds to align the implementation date of fees reduction of 1st April, as the adjustment of the license fees is not related to the establishment of the CA. And then concerning annual review of license fees, there has been an established practice of OFCA to review license fees on a yearly basis. OFCA will make timely effort to adjust the license fees should there be scope to do so. The subsidiary legislation will be tabled in LegCo soon. And for the license fee reduction for UCLs, that should take effect in March 2013. And then the CA will reduce the mobile station fee for PRS licenses, paging, and SBO licenses Class 3 to the same level and at the same time. Now, all fees are rising or are going to rise except lease, which are in the paper. So we understand that the license fees are collected by the trading fund. But of course we have a free market and there is competition, and when in fact some may want further reductions. Some are worried that if fees are reduced, consumers will not be able to benefit. So who would like to speak? Mr. Mok? Yes, Chairman, I want to say that I support this review and the proposed downward adjustment. But then as you can see, the industry is of the view that the downward adjustment is not enough. In fact, there is still a very healthy balance in the trading fund. The public would also like to know whether they will benefit from the reduction in fees. Will you be monitoring such developments? It's clear that in Hong Kong, one person may hold a few SIM cards, and so that will more than offset the cancellation of the fixed lines. So in the future, maybe we'll have 9 digits instead of 8 digits in our telephone numbers. So is there room for further downward adjustments? And will you make sure that the users will benefit? Yes, who can answer this question? Mr. Ha. Yes, let me answer Mr. Mok's question. So the license fees will be reduced. Mr. Mok would like to know whether and how the licensees will return such benefits to the consumers. In fact, our telecommunications market was opened up decades ago. License fees, in fact, or telecommunications fees are decided by market forces. In fact, I want to say that the fees consumers are paying are very reasonable by world standards. Then as to what the licensees are going to do with the benefits arising from the fee reduction, whether they will return them to the consumers or whether they will plow back the money for further investment, it's up to the licensees to decide. And after all, we're only talking about $1 per year, so it's very difficult to really return the benefit to the consumer. And then it is said that the trading fund is making a lot of profit every year. The member would like to know whether we will reduce license fees if we really have a huge profit. But in fact, we do monitor our profit situation every year, and whenever there is room for a downward adjustment of license fees, we'll do that. In fact, previously we reduced the license fees almost annually. And in 2008, we introduced the digit fees because we really do not want to increase the number of digits in the telephone number from 8 to 9 and from 9 to 10 without good reasons. Now, in fact, I can tell you that we've received 7 million numbers. In other words, we hope that the 8-digit arrangement can continue for at least 10 years or even more than 10 years.
總監嗰個答覆咧，即係
I find the CA's response problematic. Now, for these operators, they say that you are cutting the fees by too little, and they almost want to have the license fees totally waived. And yet they have all sorts of excuses to increase our fees. So please do not just put your focus on the paper here, because they have not plowed back the reduction in license fees to customers, and customers are paying a lot under their various excuses. And they're saying that even if you reduce the fees, you cannot reduce the number of numbers being opened. And what about cold calls? Next, Yu Shiwing. Chairman, my question is just the same as Mr. Charles Mok's. I think the crux of the matter is how can it benefit the public by lowering their license fees. Would it be $1 or 50 cents? You have to ensure that members of the public can benefit. So it's important for you to let the public know how they can gain by this move. For instance, what should be the volume of the fund? And since we are discussing license fees, perhaps now there is a $1 cut per number in terms of connection, customer connection fee. Now prices are rising in Hong Kong with the exception of this one. Since license fees is to reduce, we should give the public a positive message that the government is doing something for them. So once this is passed, the government should publicize this policy. And if the government has surplus in other departments, we should do more so that there won't be just price increases in the community. And this is more important than just cutting the license fees for $1 per customer. We always look at the performance of our trading fund, and every year we lower the license fees. The purpose is to hope that we can lower the costs of operators, and as a result, fees to customers can also reduce. Now, as the chairman, I already asked questions or expressed my views, but please respond to the point I made. Not very members have registered the interest to speak, or I'd like to ask about the idle numbers. You have recovered $6.9 million, and yet there are so many more numbers making cold calls. In the past, they used to start with the digit 2 or 1, and we could be vigilant. But now we easily fall victim to such cold calls. So can you tell me, give me a response? All right, we recover 6 million or 6.9 million idle numbers, and meanwhile operators have launched new services and new numbers are approved. So we have approved and other 6.5 million numbers out, so we have only recovered 900,000 numbers. So what about the new numbers approved? They must be approved to these communications operators. Well, most of them are mobile services. most of the numbers approved or handed out mobile numbers. And as for cold calls, they only ask for a limited number of numbers. They have a call center established either locally or overseas. So even if they're asking for hundreds of lines, they only need one number. So in terms of pressure on our number resources, this is not very significant because the two are separate. Thank you very much for allaying our concerns because people are asking this question. You have recovered so many idle numbers and at the same time approved so many new numbers, and they would like to know whether the new numbers are used for cold calls. Ms. Quat. Well, according to the administration, they will consider the performance of the trading fund every year, and then I will see whether there is any room for license fee to be reduced. All right, the performance of the trading fund, are you talking about is investment performance or is income? Well, how do we work on the trading fund? Is on the basis of fixed assets of the department. So the net income less expenditure should be at a certain percentage of the fixed assets. Our indicator is about 6.7% of the fixed assets of the office. So if the percentage is higher than this indicator, then we'll consider whether we can plow back some of the surplus to operators. For fixed assets, so we're talking about office, accommodation, and also our equipment squad. We are concerned about the fees or costs to our customers and also future market development. All right, you can, other than cutting license fees directly for operators, is there room for you to spend the surplus to benefit customers? Or if you forecast that the balance will be higher in the trading fund, you must lower the license fees? Well, our expenses are mainly for protection and education of customers. For instance, just last month, we launched the customer mediation scheme. If there is any dispute between the customer and the operator, currently there is no mediation, but we have funded an alternative resolution scheme. So, indirectly, we are plowing back our income or revenue to customers, and customers need only to spend $100 per case for our resolution service. So this is very reasonable. We will not directly plow back the money to customers because there is no channel for us to do so. But by setting up this scheme, we are doing that indirectly. Other than that, in future, will you have other things to lower the communications cost of customers? Our policy is to let market forces to operate. We'll continue to do that. We'll ensure that there are sufficient choices in the community. When there is competition, costs will certainly, or fees and charges will certainly decrease. Mr. Christopher Chung. All right, by cutting the license fees, what is the benefit to customers and the community? The operators use all sorts of excuses to charge customers money. What monitoring mechanism do you have? In the past, there was unlimited data plan, but now 6 gigabyte, 8 gigabyte, and now you really monitor the fees and charges to customers. Mr. Zhong, 2 years back, we started to prepare publicity and and education to customers. It's true that sometimes customers unknowingly download a lot of data using the services of operators. Very often, consumers do not know that they have downloaded so much data, and as a result have spent so much. So you might have noticed that we have a lot of APIs, and we have also regulated the operators. For instance, operators are required to make clear the terms and conditions and their fee structure to customers. So, for instance, a bill shock complaints against bill shocks have dropped substantially recently. No, you're wrong. I think consumers have just paid the bills and keep silent. Well, when the network strength is not strong enough, as a result, we have to the device has to retry the connection many times, and I think you should monitor the quality of the network of operators, because their service is rather second-rate. Yes, we've been doing that. It's true, consumers have given us a lot of views and required the operators to announce its performance pledges on a quarterly basis, and we will closely keep track of their network platform. Are they able to cope? Should they boost their capacity? Can they accommodate so many users? All right, what is the benefit to the public after cutting the license fees? I think I've already answered this question. After the license fees are cut, we hope that we can lower the operating costs of operators and indirectly benefit consumers. Of course, there is no direct relationship between the two. All right. To use a smartphone for data access, I think they should join a training course to be a smart user. All right. Any other questions? If not, in principle, we support the proposal to lower the license fees for various operators, and also the legislative proposal. Thank you, CA. The next item is concern issues relating to live broadcast of concern about the future of Hong Kong by ATV. One of our members, Ms. Claudia Mo, was subject to some harassment on that day. So I'm sure more members would like to speak on this item. And let's invite the administration to come in. We have the PS as well as the Deputy Secretary. And then there's also Mr. Vincent Liu, Deputy DG from the CA, and Ms. Katie Fong, Assistant Director from Office of the CA, and Mr. Aaron Liu, PAS for Commerce and Economic Development, responsible for communications and technology. Please be seated. All right, we'll just give a brief introduction. The panel wrote it to Mr. Sheng Pin Yu, the Executive Officer of ATV, to attend this meeting. Perhaps he is too busy quarreling with Mr. Wong Wai-Kay, or is trying to file a writ against him. And as for Mr. Wong Ching, I don't think it's necessary to invite him to come, although he was dancing at the Tamer site. So Mr. Shing is not here, and Ms. Kwok, the second in the management, is also not here. So we've only got the CA to take members' questions. So many members are concerned about that live broadcast of concern about the future of Hong Kong by ATV. Many complaints were received, and I've got some background for you. 2,200 complaints were received in total. But compared with one episode of ATV Focus where scholarism was smeared, the number of complaints back then was 42,000 odd. So this is actually a far cry from what was received back then. If your memory serves you, you may recall that a warning was issued by the BA after investigating into the 42,000 complaints against that ATV Focus. And if you want the license to be revoked, stop that wishful thinking, okay? We'll give the floor to the PS first and then later the DG. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wong, Chairman of the panel, for giving us this opportunity to explain to you the progress of investigation over the 2,000 odd complaints against the program concerned about the future of Hong Kong by ATV. Well, as you said, Chairman, we received, or the CA received 2,200 complaints. We're not happy that on the 11th of November 2012, the ATV live broadcast rally held by Asia Club outside the central government's offices on its home and Asia channels. Perhaps Mr. Liu can explain to you the work of the CA.
Yes. Can I now invite Mr. Vincent Liu to speak? He is the Deputy Director General of the OFCA. Yes, thank you for giving me this opportunity to brief you on the work of the CA in this regard. Now, the program was broadcast on the 11th of November this year. 2,200 complaints were received. The complaints include not giving others the opportunity to respond, and also some staff are being forced to join the rally, one-sided views against the issuance of additional free television program licensed by the government, abusing the spectrum, making use of public resources for its private purpose. Some said that the broadcast might also be in breach of the ordinance, sections 13 and 14, governing competition in television markets. But then, and also in October, in November, there were some programs, and there was also an advertisement broadcast, and there were complaints about the distortion of facts, the public being misled, and the contents were biased, and so on and so forth. So we will continue with our investigation, and sanctions can include an advice, a warning, a financial penalty, or a suspension of license. As investigations are still going on, that's all I can report to members for the time being. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Mok, Ronnie Tong, Claudia Mo. Yes, Mr. Mok? Yes, Chairman. Mr. James Sheng of ATV is not attending today's meeting. This is really regrettable. I'm sure many members in this council want to have a dialogue with him. And in fact, he has been to this council before, but then he is unwilling to attend today's meeting. I hope that we can invite them to come again. I hope that we can invite Mr. James Sheng to come again, because we really want to have the responses directly from him. Now, there are accusations that the content of the program is biased. Now, there are some who say that if new free TV licenses are issued, ATV will close down very soon. Now we can see that ATV has been making use of public resources to air its views on scholarism, on social issues, and also on matters which affect the interests of ATV. And there are accusations that the content of such programs is biased. Now, according to some reports, if new TV or free TV licenses are issued, ATV will be the first free TV station to close down, and that can be sustainable operation. And so the government has to have in place some fallback measures. If ATV really closes down soon after new TV licenses are issued. So, we want to know whether there are things that the public still do not know, and we want to know whether the administration can release the consultancy report to us. In fact, we will be writing to the administration asking it to make public the consultancy report that has been submitted to the EXCO. So how many consultancy reports are there in total? Can they be made public? Now, Mr. Mok, I must remind you that this agenda item is on the live broadcast of concern about the future of Hong Kong by ATV. Now, you want the consultancy report to be released. In fact, right at the beginning of the meeting, we agreed that we would ask the administration to release the report, and we are going to hold a special meeting on the issuing of new free domestic TV licenses. Now, I don't think the officials present today are in a position to answer your questions. Now, just now, the official responsible for replying was Mr. Vincent Liu from the OFCA, but perhaps I can ask the Permanent Secretary whether she can make any comments. Chairman, in fact, the Secretary has said many times that the applications and the relevant proposals are still being considered by EXCO. Now, because of the rule of confidentiality, I'm not able to disclose the progress of the discussions and deliberations and what papers EXCO relies on in making a decision. Mr. Mok, I'm sure I and members of the public would continue to ask these questions, and I hope that when we have the special meeting, we can have a frank and honest reply from the administration. Mr. Ronnie Tong. Chairman, I understand that according to the Code of Practice on TV program standards, for a current affairs program, the content must not be biased. There must be balanced views presented, and of course the severity of the breach will of course affect the level of sanction. So concerning the program which included unfair criticisms against scholarism. Now, that program attracted 42,000 complaints. But what if the total viewership of the program was only 42,000? So what are your yardsticks? And what if the total viewership of that program was 4.2 million? Would you think that 42,000 complaints was not a big number? And so ATV could be let off lightly? So what are the yardsticks that you use in deciding whether the breach is severe and what sanction you want to impose? Or would you think that if there are criticisms in a program, there are criticisms against scholarism, then that's not a very serious breach, but if in a program there are criticisms against C.Y. Leung, then it's considered a very serious breach? Now, Chairman, irrespective of the number of complaints, we carry out investigation based on the license conditions and the code of practice. And Mr. Tong was referring to the television program ATV Focus. In fact, last week, OFCA made a decision. Do you understand my question? My question is the yardsticks you adopt in imposing sanctions. So we act in accordance with the ordinance, the license conditions, and also the various codes of practice. If such standards are breached, then a sanction will be imposed depending on the nature of the breach. Now, but what if the viewership of a program was only 40,000 and all 40,000 people complained? And in that case, will you consider a more serious or a heavier sanction, for example, suspension of license? Now, Mr. Tong, in fact, there are penalties. But Mr. Tong would like to know whether whether you do consider the number of complaints versus the viewership of the program. Yes, this is quite an interesting question, Mr. Liu. Now, the number of complaints does not affect our decision. We look at whether there is a breach of the ordinance or the codes of practice, but we also look at the nature of the breach, whether it's a very serious breach. We also look at what impact the breach may have on society. Now, let me remind the administration and members that Mr. Liu has already told us the grounds for the complaints. So I think we should look at the allegations against the relevant codes and license conditions. Ms. Claudia Mo, Chairman, it's regrettable that Mr. MOK was unable to make a successful move. Now, we'll all be very busy if we have to watch a program and decide which section breaches a certain section of the ordinance. But I think it's important that broadcasters comply with the relevant codes. Now, this is especially important for free TV service, because free TV service can reach all households in Hong Kong. Now, for the program ATV Focus, which smeared scholarism, that breach attracts merely a warning. ATV doesn't even need to pay a fine. So, in future, broadcasters will have nothing to fear. The penalty or the sanction is so light. Just now, Mr. Liu said that the CA would also consider the impact of the breach on society. You did not answer Mr. Ronnie Tong's question as to whether you consider the viewership. So how do you assess the impact of the breach on society? How do you assess that impact? Chairman, ATV Focus attracted over 40,000 complaints, and ATV got in return a warning only. So we know that there can be 4 levels of sanctions: an advice, a warning, a financial penalty, or suspension of license. So ATV Focus got 42,000 complaints, but was given only a warning. And so for concerns about the future of Hong Kong, is it that as there are only 200 complaints, it will at most ATV will at most get an advice only? And then there is this allegation that the TV station keeps repeating the same programs. So is it that the ordinance and the codes of practice can do nothing about this approach? I think our laws and our codes really need to be tightened up. Yes, Chairman. First of all, concerning ATV Focus and the comments about scholarism. In fact, the CA was fully aware of concerns on the part of the public about the program.
I understand that some members of the public or the audience felt that our punishment was to the TV station was on the low side, because they felt that views expressed by ATV was rather biased and also lopsided towards scholarism, and perhaps ATV Focus smeared scholarism. We fully appreciated views of the public. However, we have to handle such complaints according to our code of practice. According to the generic code of practice, programs have to be even-handed. It does not apply to personal view programs. So after discussion, the CA was of the view that ATV Focus could pass off as a personal view program. Although the program was rather lopsided and biased, it was not against the law for very strong personal views to be expressed in a personal view program. However, the CA was aware of the concern of the public and was concerned about licensed TV stations using personal view programs to express very lopsided views. So we will review the part of the code on this, hoping to address public concerns as quickly as possible. And Ms. Mo asked about replaying of programs or repeated airing of the same program throughout the day. According to the legislation or the code of practice, there is no particular provision to govern the replaying of programs, because the CA has every respect for editorial independence and freedom of expression. However, we do understand that in the past year, some TV stations, there was a TV station that been replaying and re-airing its programs very frequently during a short period of time. So when we review the relevant license, we will see whether any regulation amendment will have to be done. Ms. Amrela, I agree with members who have spoken before me. The performance of the ATV is not just offensive, but revolting, and the CA has failed to respond to complaints expeditiously. Well, it took the CA over 3 months to tackle complaints against ATV Focus regarding scholarism. Is it because you don't have enough manpower, or do you have any difficulties? Of course, you have to be fair and just in dealing with complaints, but you should also deal with them expeditiously and efficiently. And perhaps your code of practice or your license conditions or legislation might have some loopholes for people to abuse. And they may find that, well, it's okay to do that. It's not against the license. Now, according to the DG, the views or the code of practice or the legislation will have to be revised when the current licenses are due for renewal in 2015. If yes, you have to act quickly because there isn't a lot of time left. All right. The punishment can be in the form of an advice, a warning, a financial penalty, or suspension of license. Well, at the motion debate, I suggested suspension of license, but some members found it unacceptable. Of course, the sanctions must be proportionate to the offences. But what ATV has done was very revolting, and yet you didn't even give it an advice. Will it be put on the station's record, and what will be the consequences? DG, thank you very much. Completion of the report. All right, the program was aired in September. We spent about 3 months to deal with the complaints. Our performance pledge is to complete investigation of complaints within 4 months. We received 42,000 odd complaints. Well, previously we usually dealt to about 3,000 complaints per year. So this time around, we were almost handling workload dozen-fold of what we have been having. And all the complaints are different. They were not just signature, and all complaints had their own specific complaints. So we needed time to collect evidence, and to ensure procedural fairness, we had to give time to the complainant chance to defend itself and to make representation. We fully appreciate the concern of the public, and we were therefore able to complete the investigation within the shortest possible period of time. I hope you understand that we've done our utmost to handle the complaints as quick as possible. Any follow-up, Ms. Emily Lau? What will be the consequence? And when are you going to amend the code or the legislation? Suspension of license. If during the licensing period a broadcaster has breached the relevant provisions, we will impose a sanction for that particular incident. And when the license is due for renewal, we will very cautiously consider the track record of the broadcaster, the severity and nature of previous breaches, and also the sanctions imposed in deciding whether a recommendation should be made to the EXCO for license renewal. And what about revising the code of practice, the licensing conditions, and the legislation? Amendment to the legislation. We will consider that when the license is due for renewal, we will consider all concerns about public broadcasting as a whole. Mr. Chen Chi-chun. Well, these sanctions might have an impact on the employees, but not on the boss. You're talking about a fine of a few tens of $1,000s. For an employee, we might be sacked for making a mistake, but for that organization, a fine of a few tens of $1,000s doesn't really make a difference. I'd like to know what was the highest fine imposed in the past, and the handling process and the time taken to investigate the complaints. Well, 2 years ago, we complained against the DAB for taking out an advertisement with commercial radio. There were 15 episodes. We and 15 episodes were planned. As a result, only 12 episodes were broadcast. So that was a fine, but doesn't matter. So I'd like to know the time taken for dealing with complaints. Now, if you just have to view the clip or listen to the tape recordings, it can be done very quickly. I'd like to know for the complaint against the ATV this time, have you completed watching the video recording? Are you already at the stage to ask the company to respond? Mr. Chen Chi-chin, the DG already said that there were 42,000 complaints against that program smearing scholarism. So it completed those the investigation in 3 months, and usually they had 3,000 complaints in a year, so they were already very efficient last time. Now the DG will answer your questions. Fine. According to my record, the the highest fine recorded was $300,000 when ATV mistakenly reported the death of an ex-Chinese leader. Usually, we can complete investigation of a complaint in between 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the complexity of the complaint and whether there's evidence available. As soon as we've completed the investigation and received representations from the broadcaster concerned, we'll announce the findings as soon as possible. But such fines can hardly play any deterrent effect. Of course, I would not suggest any suspension of license. For a media organization, what it fears most is suspension of license. I think when it comes to the renewal of its license, we must trace the record. Don't give them the impression that they can get the license renewed automatically. Ms. Elizabeth Quat. Well, unfortunately, there is no one from the ATV. Well, on that day, Wang Ching, the investor, scolded Ms. Claudia Mo, said she was an evil, and she was asked to go away. All right? When an investor in a broadcasting organization scolded legislator and was rude, that's very regrettable. Well, we openly ask ATV or Mr. Wong to apologize to Electrical and to Ms. Claudia Mo. And if in that program somebody was termed to be rather problematic, is it allowed under the legislation? Well, Wang Ching, being the largest investor or majority share investor of the ATV, will not apologize to Ms. Claudia Mo. So we can criticize him, but we cannot ask him to apologize to Ms. Mo. So I've answered your first question, and then the DG will take will supplement or take the question. It depends on what type of a program it is. If it is a news program, or then of course it must respect due impartiality. But if it is a personal view program, well, we frequently hear commentaries or criticism of a certain person, and as regards to how far that person can go, it depends on individual cases. Have you already decided what sort of a program is concerned about the future of Hong Kong? We are still investigating, but according to ATV, right at the beginning of the program, as already stated, that it's just a personal view program. And according to ATV, it was only giving live broadcast to this rally organized by Asia Club. Perhaps it is a loophole, or can it be a trap? What if other media organizations give live broadcasts to some functions or events, and can they breach the code of practice? As a result, will they be free from the regulation of the code of practice? We're still asking ATV to provide information on the relationship between Asia Club and this company. So I'm afraid I cannot give you any definite answer. Now, if a media organization broadcasts some events, such as an event to oppose national education, there will not be opposing views expressed at the same time. So will these media organizations be against the generic code of practice as a result? If it is a personal view program, views can be expressed. But if it is a series of personal view program and for a long time only views for a particular issue is expressed, then it's not allowed.
What if we don't know whether it's a personal view program? And what if a broadcaster is merely broadcasting a certain activity? Then does it mean that it has to also present other views in order to be impartial? It really depends on the nature of the program. Now, I think electrical members are used to being strongly criticized by for example, these personal view programs. Now, usually we do not complain, but of course, if people call us some unpleasant names during the election period, of course, I will go to the ICAC. So perhaps because I'm in the media business, I know the code very well. So perhaps we can all really study the code. Ms. Ho. Concerning the complaint against ATV's smearing scholarism, over 40,000 complaints were received. Now, previously, the office merely handled 3,000 odd complaints every year. So that was really more than 10 times the total for the total number of complaints for a decade. So was the penalty too light? A warning. Now we only have 2 free TV stations, and I think a warning can't really reflect the impact of the breach on society. And then concern about the future of Hong Kong. Now, OFCA is telling us that CA is still looking at whether or the nature of the program is it episode 1 of a drama series, but then in the first episode, someone called Claudia Mo barged in and enriched the content of the program. So I think you need to be clear about the nature of the program. Now we have this group called Asia Club holding a rally. Now, of course, Director of Administration could let Asia Club, Scholarism, and other organizations carry out hold gatherings outside the government headquarters. But then, given the nature of this program, I think the Director of Administration owes the public an explanation. Did the Director of Administration know that in letting Asia Club use the venue, ATV could save a lot of production costs? And can the CA accept a free TV broadcaster broadcasting a program which doesn't contribute to public interest? So they said it was a public, they said it was a personal view program. So what's your response? And then perhaps we can ask the Director of Administration why it let Asia Club or ATV use the government headquarters to organize such a program. Yes, in the near future, the Complaints Committee of the CA will have a discussion on the matter. And I don't think it's appropriate for me to comment on the nature of the program before the committee has discussed the matter. But then, is it that if the broadcaster claims that it is a program of this nature, then you will judge the program on that basis? Or is it that you will decide yourself the nature of the program? And some broadcasters do sometimes broadcast special programs. Mr. Liu, the CA, of course, makes its own decision, but then we will, of course, also listen to the broadcaster's representation. So what is your preliminary ruling on the nature of the program? Now, the CA has not had a discussion, and I do not want to make a decision on the CA's behalf prematurely. We have Mr. Sin Chung Kai for round 1, and then Mr. Mok and Ms. Mo for round 2. All right, Permanent Secretary, please relay our concern to the Director of Administration. Yes, we can relay members' concerns to the administration wing rather. I understand that there are certain arrangements in place. ATV has applied to use the area. I can remember that previously there were occasions on which there were activities at that venue, and there was live broadcast. But then that live broadcast was a news broadcast. But Permanent Secretary, I want to remind you that for this case, it was the TV station's own program that was broadcast. Mr. Sin Chung Kai, it seems that ATV will not shed tears until it sees its coffin. Now, in the previous case, the fine was $300,000, and so ATV may just get prepared to pay, say, $100,000 of fine for this one. For advertising revenue, TVB gets 97% of the market share, ATV 3%. But according to a report, ATV gets 17%. I hope that the Permanent Secretary and the OFCA can, upon LegCo's request, release the consultancy report as soon as possible, so that we know about the situation in the free TV service market, how much market share each of the two broadcasters is getting at the moment. And then Mr. Liu said that there would be a comprehensive review upon license renewal. Last time, I moved an amendment to the motion saying that the relevant spectrum should be auctioned, but then that amendment was not passed. for telecommunication spectrum, all of it was auctioned, and the government got revenue of over 10 billion. And we are told that for some of the telecom spectrum, which will expire, the government says that the spectrum may be auctioned again. Now, we understand that now we have a unified regulator, the CA, responsible for TV broadcasting service as well as telecommunication service. So when the license is up for renewal, when the license expires, will you consider auctioning the spectrum? Perhaps the Permanent Secretary can answer this question. Now, the two free TV stations will have their licenses renewed or in 2015. And so their licenses will expire in 3 years' time. And no wonder why the bosses of the two TV stations are so concerned. So, Permanent Secretary, can you tell us about the policy? Mr. Sin wants the administration to release to us the consultancy report on free TV service in Hong Kong. Yes, Chairman, we will follow up after the meeting. Now, I think it's difficult for her to answer your question about whether the spectrum will be auctioned. But then in the telecommunications field, government's policy is clear. All the spectrum needs to be auctioned. But of course, that's a separate issue. For telecommunication spectrum, it's very valuable and expensive. Let's now move on to the second round. Mr. Mok. In fact, I had two questions, but Ms. Sit Ho asked my first one. So Mr. Wong Cheng asked Ms. Claudia Mo to leave, disappear immediately. Maybe he thought as ATV had hired the venue, he could manage the venue, he was in charge of the venue, or maybe he didn't want to give Ms. Mo any airtime. But I want to say that if the TV standards require that in a program there should be equal time for different views, then that may amount to some restriction of freedom of speech and expression. Because say if a certain host holds a particular program, of course he will only hold one-sided views. And I believe the public do not want the codes of practice to impose too many restrictions concerning equal airtime in order to achieve impartiality. Yes, Mr. Liu. In this case, we see that if a TV station wants to make use of its own program to state its own stance, then the content may be biased, the views may be one-sided. So we will be reviewing the situation. But Mr. Mok is trying to tell you about this dilemma. Of course, we're concerned about these programs. But then will the program standards be so strict as to bar people from calling me a rascal or what? Now, because may I refer to the television program standards, para 3, balance should be solved through the presentation as far as possible. And then para 5, a program host should encourage the widest possible airing of views. He should correct the factual errors to the best of his knowledge, and so on and so forth. But para 5, it's difficult, really difficult to do what is required under para 5. So the administration may say, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to be strict, or do you want me to be more relaxed? In fact, there should be a review of the generic code of practice on TV program standards. Mr. Liu, I think we will take on board members' views when we carry out our review.
Ms. Mo, thank you. I didn't really want to speak, but all of a sudden, Ms. Elizabeth Quat mentioned out of the blue that you would, on behalf of this council, this panel, asked Wang Jing to apologize to Claudia Mo. It's been more than a month ago. All right, thank you very much. If I want somebody to apologize to me, I'll do it myself. There is no need for somebody to speak out on my behalf. So you don't need her assistance. Not really, thank you. And I think when I request somebody else to apologize, of course we have to be on the same level first. I don't want somebody lower than my own level to apologize to me. Now, just for the record, I felt rather amused. I thought that he was rather silly. And I also want to sort out one thing, not to insult or scold a legislator. Well, if a legislator doesn't do his duty properly, he should be scolded. And whether it should be scolded impolitely, well, I think people will know. Ms. Hamlin Lau, I asked the DG whether it's because there isn't enough manpower to investigate, and he said yes, usually there's only 3,000 odd in a year, and then according to his performance pledge is to complete it in 4 months. And now you are able to complete 42,000 cases in 3 months' time. I was kind enough to ask you whether you needed extra resources. Now I know that you actually have surplus resources. You asked for resources enough to complete 3,000 cases within 4 months. Now you were able to complete 42,000 cases within 3 months. So did you ask for too much? Have you asked for too much? I hope you can deal with this more expeditiously, since you have got so much fat to trim. Well, can you tell us whether you can actually deal with complaints more expeditiously? So your target, you were meant to complete 3,000 cases in a year. Now I'd like to clarify, all 42,000 complaints were against one single program. Now you should not mix up data. Now, 42,000 complaints involving one program, but the 3,000 cases referred to could be against many programs. So do you want to sit on the side of the administration to answer for the administration? Chairman, you are very correct. All 3 cases might be involving the same case, or sometimes not. All right. This time, all 42,000 complaints are targeted at one single program. I hope members appreciate that colleagues worked many hours of overtime to process the complaints, and in view of public concern, we gave top priority to this case. We focus our resources, hoping to tackle the cases as soon as possible. Please understand that we were very conscientious, hoping that we can complete the investigation as soon as possible. Now we are dealing with many more cases than previously, and we are quite tight manpower speaking. So do you have to give the surplus resources back to Ms. Emily now? No, he is even asking for more. I'm asking whether the performance pledge is too long. Is 4 months too long? Can you shorten that to 2 months? Can you be more efficient, DG? Where possible, we will deal with the cases as soon as possible. But as I explained, after we've completed our investigation, we must give the complainant the opportunity to make representations to defend itself. Well, to be fair, 42,000 complaints is just like I've been bombarded by emails, and sometimes when I am fiercely attacked by a certain radio host, radio program host, my supporters may write to complain against that single program. To be fair, 42,000 odd complaints, some of them might just be sample complaint letters. No, according to the DG, they were not. So they were all independent or separate letters. No, I was just sharing with you my experience. All right. It's about time we end the meeting. If there are no AOB, then the meeting is adjourned. May I remind you that our next regular meeting is scheduled for the 14th of January, a Monday at 2:30. And then in the same month, we will hold a special meeting on the issuing of free domestic TV license. And then towards the end of that month, we will have a briefing on policy initiatives of the policy address. So we're going to have a very busy month in January. Thank you.